Good afternoon, I'm Ryan Percy and you're watching MediaPlex Live at 1. St. Clair College is taking steps to limit student and faculty travel amid growing concerns over the novel coronavirus. The college is canceling all out-of-country field trips, and any trips that are outside of this region will need special approval in order to proceed. This travel restriction is in effect until further notice. These measures come as a number of countries and territories with confirmed cases of COVID-19 has surpassed 100. Canada has a total of 67 confirmed cases, but there are none so far in Windsor. A multi-vehicle collision in Ridgetown has left one man dead. Police say a 22-year-old Chatham man was driving a truck when he crashed with two other vehicles at the intersection of Victoria Road and Gosnell Line on Sunday afternoon. The Chatham man was ejected from his truck and was pronounced dead at the scene. The crash is still under investigation. Unrelated, but another driver succumbed to his injuries in a two-vehicle crash in Leamington. The OPP says a 75-year-old man was killed in a head-on collision on County Road 34 between a truck and a van. Two passengers in the other vehicle were taken to a hospital with life-threatening injuries. First Nations students and professors walked out of class last Wednesday in solidarity with Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs. Patrick White is in the studio to give us more information. What's going on, Pat?
Well, Ryan, First Nations students and professors are sending a message of disapproval to the federal and provincial governments. They argue that the Coastal GasLink pipeline project and RCMP presence on Wet'suwet'en territory violates a Supreme Court ruling. Clouds began to break up last Wednesday as David Pitawanakwat gave the opening remarks at a U-Windsor faculty walkout in solidarity with Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs.
But yeah, what is happening across Canada and the United States has been the status quo for over 200 years.
Pitawanakwat is referring to a decades-long pushback in Wet'suwet'en territory against developments that hereditary chiefs say pose a threat to their cultural heritage and the environment. Most recently, this pushback has been against the Coastal GasLink pipeline project. An environmental engineering student and president of the Native Student Alliance says it's possible to live in harmony with the land.
Recognizing that we are all people of this land and that we all owe our lives to it and that we need to protect it. And then
a joint statement from the BC Ministry of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation and the Office of the Wet'suwet'en said, on the Coastal GasLink project, the parties engaged in direct discussions and explored means to come to a resolution. The province agreed to provide further information on the project. All parties at the table recognized that the differences relating to the Coastal GasLink project remain. An Indigenous law professor and founding member of the activist group Idle No More provided her input on the draft agreement struck last week in British Columbia.
We need to continue pressuring Canada to honor the Delgamuukw decision, which is a Supreme Court decision.
The Delgamuukw decision is at the heart of the current draft agreement between Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs and the British Columbia senior ministers. The 1997 Delgamuukw-Gizdawa ruling affirmed that the BC provincial government has no right to extinguish Indigenous peoples' rights to ancestral territories, the legal validity of oral history, and clarified that it is the government's duty to consult with Indigenous peoples on any projects affecting their territory. Ryan?
Here's a strange catch. A live grenade has been pulled from the Thames River. According to Chatham-Kent Police, a resident was magnet fishing in the river near the Thamesville Bridge Sunday afternoon and caught what police are now calling a live grenade. The bomb disposal unit identified the item as an M36 grenade. Police say there is no threat to public safety. The Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario has received its second application from Windsor to open a cannabis store. But before it can go through, residents in the surrounding area can voice their opinions on the proposed storefront. Former cannabis lounge owner John Lidke says public feedback is an important step in the process.
By having the public comment period, it allows for concerned residents, stakeholders, people generally to make a comment about it, and that's fine. The hope is when you have these public comments that they're not just simply used to shut it out. It's used to actually gauge what the wants are of the community.
It's no secret there's a homelessness crisis in Windsor. But as Nadia Butler reports, one local woman is trying to make a difference, one bag at a time.
Local resident Christine Cook retired from her city job 5 years ago and decided to use her passion for helping the community towards helping people in need.
Out where I live on the east side, Walmart has 3 or 4 people that live in the parking lot in their vehicles, you know. So.
Cook decided to make it her personal mission to fundraise money, collect donations, and personally deliver goods to those who can't afford the basics.
I just started collecting like motel samples, saying to my friends, you know, like if you go to the motels, get this.
Cook started making what she calls blessing bags, handing them out to people 100 at a time. She puts shout-outs on Facebook for donations and collects coupons for stores all over the city. Her house and car are packed to the brim with discounted items she has found around town, buying products in bulk when she sees a good deal.
We usually like pull up in front of the Mission or Street Help because that's where a lot of people frequent. And we just pull up and say, you know, anybody want a blessing bag? And they come up and within minutes they're gone.
Cook recently started her latest fundraising campaign online, an entertaining online virtual duck race. She charges $10 an entry, splitting the winnings 50-50 between one first-place winner and those in need, filming the race live on Facebook.
So I'll say, okay, the first prize is $200, the second prize is one of the donations, and yeah, I fill 40 spots.
Cook says that she would like to start a GoFundMe page and buy a building of her own to run the yet-to-be-named organization. She also says it's not always what you buy that makes a difference.
It takes a simple smile or, you know, to just ask somebody, you know, how is your day? You know, you might be struggling, but I'm here if you know, this brings tears to my eyes.
For MediaPlex News, I'm Nadia Butler.
$120 billion is a lot of money, and according to Nielsen's super data, that's the value of the video game industry. And just like movies, there are hot new game releases coming out every single month. Since we're at the beginning of March, let's touch on a few upcoming releases which might pique your interest, or at the very least, let you know what your kids or friends are talking about. Ever crack open a Where's Waldo book growing up? Like playing I Spy on long car trips and not just as a time waster? Then you may love Hidden Through Time. Coming out on Thursday, it's a game where you're given a scene from a different time period and follow cryptic clues to track down characters and objects within it. But the two biggest releases are both planned for March 20th and have gained a sort of friendly rivalry between fans on social media. The first is Animal Crossing New Horizons for the Nintendo Switch. The 5th title in the main series and 8th overall in the franchise, the new game will see players taking on their role as villagers on an island. After buying a dream trip from the frugal Tanuki Tom Nook, the player is left on a deserted island to enjoy themselves. You can craft items to decorate this island and turn it into a paradise of your choosing as you attract all manner of anthropomorphic animal acquaintances to join you. But if your friends aren't into Animal Crossing but are picking up a game, it's probably going to be the new installment of one of gaming's most famous and infamous franchises, Doom. The 13th game in the series, Doom Eternal, sees the Doom Slayer once again pitted against the forces of hell in a brutal battle of life and death for the sake of humanity. But 3 days after that, the newest installment in a series almost every gamer has been joking about for years comes out. Almost 13 years after the last game's cliffhanger ending, Half-Life Alyx is back and diving into virtual reality. Players take on the role of fan-favorite character Alyx between the events of Half-Life and Half-Life 2 as she tries to survive after humanity's fall to the Combine. But whether you plan to battle the forces of evil or sit back and relax by the beach while you pay your debt to a magical raccoon dog thing, the choice is yours. Either way, have fun and game on. The St. Clair women's basketball team has won silver at the OCAA championship. They faced the defending champion Fanshawe Falcons in the final, coming up short, losing 93-80. Despite the loss, St. Clair athletic coordinator Jay Schufelt says the team's happy with the outcome.
Tired, a lot of work, but well worth it. Obviously a little disappointed we didn't win, but at the same time, you know, there's no shame in a silver medal, and overall the weekend was a huge success.
Now turning to weather. Today we will see a high of 15 degrees and a mix of sun and clouds. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Ryan Percy, and you've been watching MediaPlex Live at 1.